Yes, yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have a Patreon request. Thank you to Christopher for this one. This is Sydnie Christmas performing My Way. Now, I don't know anything about her or this other than she won Britain's Got Talent 2024, and this is the performance from her semi-final. My Way, extremely famous song, made famous by Frank Sinatra. It's the English adaptation of the French song Comme d'habitude. And I didn't know this until now, but the English song, the famous one, My Way, the lyrics were written by Paul Anka. He sang this song, which I love. Put your head on my shoulder. What a suave young lad. As I mentioned before, I had never heard of Sydnie Christmas. I'm not really in touch with the TV talent shows, but a quick Google tells me that she was the recipient of one of the judges' golden buzzer in her audition, which I believe grants them an automatic place in the knockout stages or in the live performances. To get a golden buzzer, you have to be pretty good, right? So let's get straight into it. I can see that this performance is just over 2 minutes long, probably a time limit on how long these live performances could be. So I assume she's not going to be singing the whole song, but rather just a couple of verses.
The end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friends are saying clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, but much more than this, I did it my highway. Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew when I've been offered more than I could chew.
Okay, we're about halfway or so. I will keep playing until the end as it's a short performance, but I don't know how strict copyright will be. If I play the whole thing, there's a good chance the video could get taken down. I guess I'll just give a few of my initial thoughts very, very quickly. Definitely an interesting voice. The timbre is the first thing that stood out to me, and it changes as well, which is particularly interesting. And there are some things with this arrangement as well that I do like. I don't know if it's another arrangement that's popular or not. I've not heard this arrangement before. She's just moved up. There's been some growth. I used to watch these shows, and it tends to be the case where the second half of a performance, things get quite big with a song like this anyway. That's how the song is in the first place. So let's carry on till the end, and then we'll go over some analysis afterwards. Interesting so far, for sure.
But through it all, when I was down, I ate it up and I spread it out. I faced it all and I stood tall and did it my way. What is a woman? What has she got? If not herself, then she is not to say the things she truly feels. And on the words of one who kneels, the record shows I took the blows and did it my
There's another 3 minutes of this video, which I guess are going to be the judges' comments. I will watch them. I probably won't include most of them, but if I have something to say, I will include that.
Tonight, you did even better. better.
I'll probably need to watch her first audition. If she got a golden buzzer, does she go straight to the semi-finals or are there quarterfinals? Either way, yeah, I'll probably need to watch the first audition at least.
Total in control, hitting it with such clarity and power. It was stunning.
Definitely had power in there, for sure. Very powerful voice.
Christmas has come early, hasn't it? It really has.
I was trying so hard not to say anything about Christmas coming early with her name. At the time of recording this, the month of Christmas is only in a couple of weeks. Well, there we go. I didn't have to.
And you know what? The only people you need to trust is the audience. The audience always get it right.
Oh, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? A talent show, you don't really know what you're going to be seeing. You could be seeing music, you could be seeing circus performers, you could be seeing magicians, dancers, comedy. So for a show like this, yeah, why not? The crowd shouldn't be biased in theory.
Seriously, without all of you lot, I wouldn't have had the courage for this.
She has quite a strong accent, doesn't she? Okay, well, there were a lot of interesting things about this performance, I think. I can only imagine the nerves on a show live, semi-final of a talent show watched by millions and millions of people, but we couldn't see it, I don't think. It was definitely a confident performance. Really interesting opening that. If we listen to the Sinatra version, I'll just refer to that as the original if I do make any kind of comparisons.
And now
We have our home chord. In that case, it's this one, D. And notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are D, F sharp, and A. If we move this one down the octave and remove the home note, that's the opening melody. In this arrangement, we get something different. Firstly, the jump upwards is inverted, so it's a little fall down, smaller too. A cappella opening, no instrumentals being heard before she comes in. Firstly, the key is different. Instead of D, we're in B. And if we do the same thing as the original, move that note down, remove the home note, that would be her entry, but she has kept this one up. Because it's the same two notes of the chord, whether it's up here or down here, it bears the same harmonic significance. It's not hinting at a different chord progression or anything. So the real difference just comes from the fact that she's starting higher and moving down compared to moving up. You can make your own judgment on how you think it might affect the song. But the way she sings it as well, swoony is the word that I'm going to use. That second note, she attacks it flat. I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but she immediately corrects it and then the vibrato starts coming through. And I think that's quite a charming way of singing. It reminds me of, I wasn't alive then, even though I have no hair, but of how I imagine many women would have been singing in the 1940s, the 1950s.
The end is near, and so I face.
This was the surprise, the timbre here. That kind of closed off sound coming from the back of the throat, which completely changes later on at the more climactic moments.
The fine curtain.
As for the arrangement, very, very exposed. A lot of focus on her voice. We don't really hear much in the instrumentation, just these bare piano chords. What we're hearing in the piano, well.
The end is near.
So these are the main ideas, and I'll play them all in the same octave just so it's easier to see. Her melody. Alternating between these notes, so we'll just stick that in there. On the top of the piano, high up, we hear
The end is near.
but to bring it down. So the harmonic change comes from the lower piano part, and she is singing between the lower piano part and this note at the top that doesn't change. And that part starts on our nice home chord, but then it moves down chromatically. You would have seen the chords up here change. That's the harmony changing, all due to this chromatic line. And then we finally arrive on. So she has moved down along with the upper piano part. And there we have a nice standard chord.
My friends are saying clear, I'll state my case.
I find it really interesting. I really like what she's doing in terms of the dynamics, the airiness she's using. She's contrasting a lot of air, then no air. Vibrato, no vibrato. Vulnerable, weaker sound, stronger, more convicted sound. And because of this, through this, again, I don't know if it's intentional or not, there are some slight tuning tweaks. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. Here's a good example, this phrase.
State my case.
The last two notes of that phrase were not exactly at pitch. I'm not saying that in a negative way, it's a stylistic choice. We see singers do it all the times. You might kind of go into a note and rise up to pitch, or the opposite. The first note, the lower note, is a bit sunken, and then the next one is where the vibrato comes through.
State my case.
And we can hear how the note rises up towards the end. So there's a lot of different stylistic choices going on at the moment. And considering how reserved the arrangement and the performance is so far, I think it's a great way to add variety in otherwise limited infrastructure. Then we get this grumbling come in.
I've lived a life.
And now she starts singing sustained notes, more legato. Again, she rises into that note.
I've traveled each and every highway.
Coming off mid-phrase there, it's interesting. The cello is really exaggerating these sustained long notes, and the cello, many people consider to be the instrument that's most similar to the human voice in terms of timbre. So having the cello playing these long sustained notes, rich vibrato, really complements her doing the same. But then when she cuts off mid-phrase, I wasn't expecting it, and I think it's interesting. It keeps us engaged. The higher strings, the violins, they start to come through in the texture.
Much more than this, I did it.
Nice drop into this chord, this chromatic inflection.
Highway.
That run there by her, it's just my personal preference. In general, I'm not a huge fan of runs, but she's making it her own. This is the first time I've seen her. I don't know what her style is. From a structural perspective, though, a run like this, to me, possibly indicates that something big is coming, which I think we can agree does happen next.
There were times I'm sure you knew.
I don't really have too much to say on this section in particular. More powerful voice in her chest voice as well. She does have a very high, powerful chest voice.
But through it all, when I was down.
So she's teetering up in the B, C sharp ranges. In between those two notes is what I call a wow moment for operatic tenors. Just for context in terms of pitch, she is a woman. She's not a male tenor, so it's a bit different, but it's high for the chest voice. And that's one thing I liked about this performance. I was expecting just this growth, this crescendo all the way through to the end, but she went up and then came back down.
And it's my way. What is a woman? What has she got?
I really like that. After the elation of this huge climactic moment, you saw the judge's hands in the air. Oh, hang on, we're brought back down to earth. The lyrics become a bit more pertinent when there's less going on in the music itself. Now we have more focus available for the lyrics and what she is, well, the story she's telling through her singing. Then things start to get big. The curtain, I think, falls. And here is the kind of highest moment, the wow moment. Higher, so the blended voice coming through. A nice choice to have a complete break in the arrangement there. Allows her to just emotionally consider, I think, what's going on maybe. Even though it's only a few seconds, I'm sure the suspense is building for the crowd. Yeah, and it's a huge ending. She's a bit sharp on both of those last notes, but I don't think anyone should care really or notice even. And just like the introduction, we had this reversal of movement, finishing on my way, moving up, and it's such a famous musical phrase, my way, moving down. So I like how she starts and ends with an inversion. And the penultimate chord as well. This is her note, and then if we build that, and then I'll build down again in the same octave, but the other notes that we hear in this chord for a nice resolution to But she, of course, moves up. Well, there's a new take on My Way. I did like the arrangement. I liked how it went from reserved to climactic, back to reserved, back to climactic. Like I said, I liked the various melodic adjustments, the voicing, especially when things were exposed, like with the piano at the part, with her in between the two main piano parts, one of which was static, the other chromatically descending, really driving the harmonic changes. I have always wondered about these talent shows, if singers should be allowed on them. Controversial, maybe. You have shows like X Factor or, I don't know, American Idol and stuff, or Pop Idol was it back in the day? And at the time, I remember a lot of people were saying, well, they should be the shows for singers, the talent shows should be for, I don't know, anyone else. And often you could have, this is maybe a bad example, but someone who's juggling 4 things at once. There's no denying that requires an incredible amount of training and talent, but they'll always lose out to singers. Maybe if you're a classical singer or an opera singer, then it's a bit more understandable. But the other side of the argument is, well, it should be for anyone. If you have talent, you have talent. It doesn't matter what your activity is, whether it's singing or dancing or acting. So when I see singers on these shows, I do always wonder at the back of my head how they might compare to some of the other superstar singers in the world, or people who've been on the singing specific shows. I guess The Voice is now the more popular singing show. So there's no doubt that she is a very, very good singer, very powerful voice. I like her stylistic choices. And in fairness, who am I to even give my thoughts on this? She's gone and she's won Britain's Got Talent, which I think is decided by the public's vote. So, you know, that speaks for itself, really. I didn't see any of the other acts. I don't know who she was competing against. All I'll say is there are many, many really good singers out there in the world. And based on the number of other very, very good singers that there are out there, I don't know if I would personally merit this a Britain's Got Talent winning performance. Well, this was the semi-final. I haven't seen her other performances yet. I'll need to watch them. And in truth, it's really difficult to say anything even remotely not positive in these videos because people are free to attack you in the comments. So I think my final really honest view is she's no doubt an extremely gifted singer. She won Britain's Got Talent. That says it all. I liked the arrangement. Please let me know whose arrangement this is. Did she arrange it? Because arranging and songwriting, you know, that's a whole other skill on top of the singing ability. And I liked her stylistic choices. In terms of singing ability, like I say, I think she's an incredibly good singer, but I think there are many, many incredibly good singers out there. And maybe I didn't emotionally connect to this performance as much as I have with some of those other incredibly, incredibly good singers. But look, if you completely disagree with me, of course, that's fine. And if you feel I need to watch more of her performances, let me know which ones. My understanding is that she's a relatively new artist and she rose to fame from this show, which was only earlier this year. Overall, though, a great performance, really powerful, and I think a lot to like about it. Well, let's leave that one there. Thank you again for this request, and thank you as always for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you enjoy my content, would like to support me, join the community, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now, and I will see you next time.